This is actually the apartment where the fire started. I want to show you through here. Fire officials think it may have started right here. This is backing up to the kitchen and then spread across. Fortunately, this fire had a chimney effect, so it shot upwards instead of moving over. Just to show you that, take a look at this apartment right next door. What a difference a wall makes, hardly touched by the fire. By the nature of this blaze, it could have been a lot worse. We were wondering if you were still selling alcohol without a permit.
I don't know speak English.
Well, that excuse didn't work with us, so we asked him again, this time in Spanish. ¿Se vende alcohol sin permiso? ¿Se vende alcohol sin permiso? ¿Usted tiene un permiso para alcohol?
Yes.
¿Puede verlo? When we asked to see the permit for ourselves, he put us on the phone with the owner, Lucio Hernandez. So we were confronting owners and the people selling alcohol to find out if you had cleaned up your act. The staff didn't want to talk to us at first.
Okay, first of all, camera off, camera down.
How long were you selling alcohol without one?
The restaurant's always had a permit.
Police cited good old days because a bartender didn't have a good old permit. And how did that person correct the problem?
We let them go.
Whether they shouted in Spanish or in English.
Go home and create your own country.
Two starkly different stances on immigration. No translation lost here.
This is not immigration. This is an invasion.
Crossing more than a border between countries, this is a wall between cultures. An argument raging over immigrant rights in America. Thousands marched to the Capitol.
El pueblo unido, el más será vencido. Go home and do something. You can march there. You have a large number. Go home and march. Muchachas, muchachos, you can do it.
This is ridiculous. They're the backbone of our country right now. You know, most of them are getting paid under the table, and they're doing the jobs that Americans don't want to do.
Les pido un breve aplauso para él, por favor.
Es todo lo que queremos, igualdad. No queremos.
Rodolfo Ortiz left Mexico 14 years ago. He says, we don't want more than anyone else, we just want equality.
Until you come in my country illegally, get your butt out. Go home to your own country. Take care of your own country.
I'm from El Salvador, Central America. The best people, there's a Spanish guy.
Oh, okay. So the best people are Spanish guys,
yes.
And the lowly Americans are what? Where are you from?
El Salvador.
Well, I like El Salvador. Me and my 100, 200 million people, we're going to go right down there, and we're going to take your jobs. How would you like that?
You need to go home. You're destroying your healthcare system. That's your attitude.
Es tu problema.
See, you're here illegally, and it's our problem, and we have to pay the bills. Go home.
Consider this a preview to the emotional debate guaranteed to erupt when the Senate returns from a week-long Memorial Day holiday, time that groups like this hope is enough to sway senators' opinions.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 27, 34.
Inside these file drawers at Grady Hospital, these envelopes hold DNA evidence from sexual attacks. Swabs from the victim's body, sometimes hair or fingernails. They're called rape kits. These are the keys to an investigation and the timely prosecution of a rape. We asked Grady's Rape Crisis Center staff to count the kits.
That there are about 100 adults and about 700 children.
700 children.
Kids. Mm-hmm.
Later, a Grady spokesperson amended those numbers to 247 adult kits and 295 child rape kits.
If the police department doesn't come to pick up the kid, doesn't mean that we didn't do what we were supposed to do.
This is where police officers drop off rape kits. The GBI will only accept submissions from law enforcement with an active investigation and a victim. The faster this chain of events occurs, the faster DNA can be processed and placed in a database of violent offenders.
So by putting it in the database and searching it, we can potentially find many other victims out there that has been assaulted by this same perpetrator.
This isn't the first time rape kits have piled up at Grady Hospital. Back in 2000, the hospital reported a backlog of 250 kits. The bulk of responsibility fell to the Atlanta Police Department because the majority of rape cases and evidence belong to Atlanta and Fulton County.
Things have changed dramatically in the fact that that was actually a different unit by a different name.
Now, a new special victims unit is in place. So why are there hundreds of rape kits at Grady, untouched and unprocessed?
Once it's a day or two into the investigation and the story falls apart, they end up recanting, and then the rape kit will not go. They'll say, no, I'm sorry, I lied.
So are the majority of those kits simply unfounded cases where women and children made stories up? Due to privacy laws, Grady won't release that information.
We understand it's been a buildup for 10 years, and not just from the Atlanta area, but from the larger areas.
A decade of cases that did not make it to the crime lab for DNA processing. We went to Fulton County District Attorney Paul Howard for answers.
From everything that we understood, that problem had been eliminated. As a result of you talking with me today, we're certainly going to look again to see whether or not that exists. I would be shocked if there is a child case that we're currently investigating and we've got a rape kit and it's sitting over at Grady Hospital.
Our investigation revealed a systemic breakdown with no clear accountability.
Well, I don't think the police can explain a pile up at Grady. I think you'd have to speak to the folks at Grady.
Our policy says that we could call the DA's office, but that's no guarantee that they're going to come and get them.
Those rape kits are not, my property. They're the property of the hospital.
There is no statute of limitations on DNA. That means 10-year-old cases in this pile of rape kits could be the missing link to solve other crimes or bring the peace of justice to rape victims who need closure to move on with their lives. In Atlanta, Sarah Parker, CBS 46 News. This home video shows a Perkins Auto Recycling employee dumping gasoline out of a dismantled gas tank. He spills it all over the ground, then walks away.
Because I would see them dump the gas out of the tanks into the buckets, and then they would dump that into the, I guess it's a stormwater drain.
This neighbor who wants to protect her identity has been documenting questionable business practices at Perkins for 4 years.
First noticed the smell because they were burning the cars and burning the wires for the metal, and it's very toxic and noxious.
CBS 46 News has uncovered a history of legal and environmental violations at the shop. Last year, the owner, Claude Perkins, was arrested and charged with 3 counts of theft by receiving stolen property. The investigation showed Perkins could not produce a valid business license. We confronted Mr. Perkins at his Southwest Atlanta junkyard.
Are you operating this business without a valid license?
No.
Because we wanted to find out if you're operating under a valid business license here to be operating a scrap metal yard. You're not operating.
Not operating or not telling the truth. Today, this front-end loader was definitely running, and 2 weeks ago, this was caught on tape. Watch how this Jeep Cherokee is dumped and then crushed into scrap metal. The Georgia Department of Natural Resources fined Perkins $25,000 for dumping oil into state waters in 2003 and again in 2005.
You've actually been cited twice by Georgia Department of Natural Resources?
I want to ask y'all to leave now because you're on private property.
Sir, do you have any comment? Did you pay a $25,000 fine for oil dumping?
But he's continued to pollute our neighborhood and won't stop. And this has been years, and he's been notified for several years to clean up his act.